Hi, I'm Sophie, and welcome to my world. You know, a long time ago, when I was a kid, the standard thing to get your dad for Father's Day was a tie. Things have changed since then, and you know, ties, they just don't seem to cut it anymore. But what about taking a tie and turning it into something Dad can really use, like this amazing cell phone case? So I'm going to teach you right now how to take a tie like this and turn it into something cool like this. So for this project, you're going to need your device, whatever size phone you have. It's going to be particular to your phone, or I should say your dad's phone. So you need to make sure that you have your device. That's really important. You're going to need an old tie. Now, why I say an old tie is because you don't want to go into your dad's closet and take one of his favorite ties and turn it into a cell phone cover. He will not be happy on Father's Day to find his favorite tie turned into an art project. So make sure that it's either one, a tie that it's okay to use, or you can go and you can find these at like thrift stores and things like that. I was able to buy this one at a thrift store for like $1. So you can usually find really cool old ties for like $1 or so. You're also going to need a piece of cardboard, and I've got a little strip of cardboard here. It's 12 inches long and it is about 2.5, 3 inches wide. That's all you need. You're just going to need this as a backer inside your tie. I'm also going to be using some sticky back velcro, and I love this stuff. Make sure that you have the fuzzy side and the loopy side. I'm going to need a ruler, a popsicle stick, and if you have it on hand, a seam ripper. This is a seam ripper, and if you have somebody in your family or if you personally sew, you may have one of these. These are fantastic for this project, but if you don't have one, it's okay. It's not the end of the world. You can use an X-Acto knife. You can use a pin, and you can use scissors in place of this seam ripper. You'll see why I like the seam ripper so much, but these two items plus the scissors will also work. And you need a popsicle stick, and that's because we're going to be gluing with fabric, and I don't want you to get hot glue on your fingers. And this, of course, the hot glue gun. Now, if you wanted to do this with Elmer's glue, that's completely fine. If you wanted to sew it, that's completely fine. But in this case, we're going to be doing it with hot glue. This is a no-sew project for Father's Day. Okay, so what I'm going to first do is just take all this stuff away for right now. And we're going to start with our tie. So we're going to take our tie, and the first thing we have to do is we have to prep it. Now, if you look at this tie, you can see that it's stitched. Do you see that? See how it's stitched there? And that's why we are going to have to use our seam ripper. Now, the first thing is I don't need this little tag here, so I'm going to cut this away. Just going to open it up in the tie here and just snip this away because this isn't important. There we go. Now you can see where the first stitch is. Now with a seam ripper, I can just go stick this edge of the seam ripper right underneath there and go bloot, and it just cuts it off just like that. And then you can pull the extra little threads out. Now if you don't have the seam ripper, like I said, and see there's another thread, all I have to do is hit it with the seam ripper there. If you don't have that, don't despair, it's okay. You can use very carefully an X-Acto knife, and I'll use the X-Acto knife on these other two parts here, and then you can see how that can be used. So I want to remove this because this is not important, and again, you got to be very careful here. I'm putting my fingers down here and pulling, and I'm just gently with the X-Acto knife going for that little tiny string that you see there. It's holding it together. See that? And then it comes off. Now, like I said, the seam ripper is so much easier, so I'm going to use that just because it's faster. Okay. And I'm going to remove this side as well. And the seam ripper has like a fish hook almost, so you can just kind of get it in there. You want to pull out all those little threads so they're not in the way. Sometimes it's a little tricky to find where it is, but if you get in there, there you go. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue this part together. And I've got these little tiny strings here. So now what I'm going to do is take my glue gun and I'm going to glue right along this edge right here. And I want to try to get it as close to the top there as possible and as close to the edge as possible. I'm just going to go all the way down. Now the reason I said to use a popsicle stick is because this is going to be hot and fabric is hot. And what I want to do, the fabric will get hot, excuse me. What I'm going to do just to protect the fabric and keep it from sticking to itself is put this piece of cardboard in there. And now I'm going to use my stick and just push it down. Now I was talking so much that I probably let that cool enough that I can touch it with my fingers. Yeah, okay, there we go. Okay, now this is important. I use this piece of cardboard to see that there are no, make sure there aren't any more stitches. And it looks like there's more stitches down here. So I'm just going to once again take my seam ripper, hit any little stitches that I find. There we go. And I'm going to glue this edge as well. Once again, just lifting this up here. I'm going to try to do this so you can see it. Let me turn it around. There we go. That's a little bit better. Right along that edge there. And remember, be very careful. Use your stick. Okay. Now, what I want to do here, when I was talking to you, see what happened? Because I was talking, I allowed that to get cooled down before I got it in place. So there we go. What you're trying to do is secure this whole seam with hot glue. So now that's done. And as you can see, I've got plenty of room for me to slide my phone. Now the thing you want to do is slide your entire device down so that it can't be seen, because this is going to fold over to lock it in place. And this is going to have like a little Velcro here, so that's going to keep it in place like a pocket. Now, here's the bottom of my phone. I want to measure down exactly 1.5 inches from the edge of the phone. So here's 1.5 inches right here. I'm going to snip straight across. Right there. Now, you can save this big long piece because you can make all kinds of other fun stuff, everything from like backpack straps to jewelry with that strap. So hold on to that for later. That'll be another tutorial. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to flip this whole thing inside out. Now, a lot of ties, most ties, oh, there's a little thread. Most ties have this liner, and that's to give it a little bit more body, which is great, and you want to keep that. But we're going to trim the little bit of extra that we don't need. That was a little string. I pulled it out with the seam ripper. Okay, so I'm just going to cut this part right here at the bottom, right across where the tie is. Okay, now what I want to do is I'm going to create the bottom part of my pouch, and I'm doing this so that it won't be seen. That's why I turned it inside out. Now I want to line up the sides. See how those sides, there's the seam? I want those lined up. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a bead of glue about 1 inch up here, just like this. Let's get the measuring. Yep, right about there. About 3/4 of an inch to 1 inch up. And now I just fold one edge, just this edge here, up and over. You're not doing the whole thing, just one edge. This is where you can use your stick again. Okay, and now you want to put another line of glue and fold this up. And glue it. You want to make sure that this whole edge stays down. So you might need a little extra glue there. You can use that stick. And now see, there's this little bit of an overlap here. That's where the seam is. I want to glue that down as well. Glue that there. And glue that here. Use your stick. There we go. Now you want to let that dry really nice and good and make sure that everything is nice and secure. And now we're going to turn this back inside right. And you just want to pooch out those little edges. And you should have a nice seam there. So we should have a nice solid seam here, and this should be nice and solidly glued. And now you should be able to put your phone right in, and it should slip right on down. And now we can add the Velcro. And what I'm going to do is take that little bit of Velcro here. And I always like to take a piece and peel the back off. And I like to place it kind of like in a triangle shape there, like that. Then I take the opposite piece. In this case, it's the fuzzy piece. Pull the back off of it so it's ready to be stuck. And then I fold it down so that it's nice and secure. And then when I pull it off, it's in the perfect place to close it. And there you have it, a fantastic little cover for your dad's cell phone case. And there you have it, a Father's Day gift that is completely unique. I mean, and you know how it is. Dads love things that are made from the hands and the hearts of their kids. For more great ideas that are outside the box for present giving, come and check us out at Sophie-World.com.